صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is RATTAWU at 40, and to put us in the right mood for the celebration, let me call on Comrade Innocent Ofeadi to lead us in the solidarity songs affirming this union.
Shall we rise, please? When the union inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there shall be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet one force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one.
Hello there, we'd like to welcome you to the Cyprian Ekwensi Cultural Center here in Abuja. It's the 40th anniversary ceremony of Radio, Television, Theatre and Art Workers Union of Nigeria, RATTAWU. You're welcome. My name is Kenneth Abodike. It's the solidarity song going on now. Whenever you hear that song, you know that the struggle is indeed real. Thanks for joining us live on the largest TV network in Africa, the Nigerian Television Authority. It is the opening ceremony. This occasion will take 2 days to be concluded. Members will go into plenary tomorrow, Saturday.
World from the ashes of the old, and the union makes us strong. Solidarity, solidarity, forever. Forever. Union makes us strong. Is that all we hold in common with a greedy parasite who will lash us in to serve them and will hush us with his might? Is there anything left for us than to organize and fight? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity, solidarity, forever. Solidarity, solidarity, forever. For the union makes us strong. He's Soweto, he's Soweto, he's Soweto, he Africa, he Africa. RATTAWU, we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrade.
The theme of this celebration is media and culture as tools for national transformation, cohesion, and good governance. Like I said earlier, it is a 2-day event with the likes of the former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, here as one of the distinguished guests. Later on in the course of the celebration today, Mr. Peter Obi is expected to launch a book for the union here.
We'd like to acknowledge that the Minister of Information has been represented here.
You will recall that the restructuring policy of the Nigerian labor movement of 1978 resulted in the amalgamation of 896 different trade unions into 70. It is, however, disconcerting that available sources contradict one another on the exact number of trade unions that existed before the 1978 labor movement restructuring policy and how many were allowed and accommodated after the implementation of the policy. However, irrespective of the exact number of trade unions, what is important is that the restructuring exercise necessitated the merger of 10 different trade unions, as footnoted, that metamorphosed into what is known today as radio, television, theater, and art workers union of Nigeria, simply christened RATTAWU, on the 15th of August 1978.
This in no particular order. Perhaps this might be because a number of them are my friends and my brothers and my sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Professor Umaru Pati of the Bayero University. Come on. Thank you. Let me also acknowledge the presence here of a number of those who will be delivering papers. And here is another distinguished Nigerian. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Emeka Mba. Of course, we all do know him. He's one of us in the house here. Let me also welcome Hajia Lantana Ahmed of the Nasarawa State University, who's joining us here on this occasion. Let's put our hands together for her. Thank you very much. And of course, Professor Charity Angia of the Benue State University, Makudi. Thank you for being here with us today. I'd like to acknowledge that one of our guests here is Chief Ben Okonta, who's representing Special Advisor to the Governor of Delta State on Labor and Industrial Relations. We thank you for being here, Chief Ben Okonta. Thank you. Also, the Registrar of Trade Unions is here. And Madam, I don't know where you're seated, but would like to ask that you come. Thank you very much, yes. Yes. Thank you for being here. Well, of course, it's expected that all the comrades, leaders of brother, sister, and affiliate unions, and of course the central labor organizations, both the Nigerian Labor Congress and the Trade Union Congress, their leaders are here in the hall. And of course, they are all coming to felicitate with RATTAWU on this 40th anniversary. And it's all at the instance of the president of RATTAWU, Comrade Dr. Kabir Garbatani, who's here in our midst. Comrade. Yeah. Right. And of course, the past leaders who have kept the faith with these organizations, they're right here in our midst. And I'd like you to especially acknowledge those who sacrificed their time, their energy to put this union on a sound footing, and they're joining in the 40th anniversary. So let's hear it for the past presidents who were here. We can do better than that. Let's give them 3 busa. 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 Solidarity forever. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this point in time, let us take some time off to get underway with the program of events. There's so many other distinguished personalities who are here. We'll be recognizing them, especially those in the labor movement. We know that you have come here to be with us and show the solidarity. It is that solidarity that binds us all together. And so we welcome you all, and at the appropriate time, we'll continue to recognize and appreciate your presence here. For now, let us hear the opening remarks of the chairman of this occasion, Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Alhaji Abubakar Jijiwa, former Director General of the Voice of Nigeria and Chairman of today's occasion. Thank you.
Great RATTAWU! Great RATTAWU! RATTAWU Gbagba! RATTAWU Bosa! RATTAWU Jam Jam! I'm sure the last one, only Professor Pate will understand. Forward ever! Isaleto! A luta continua. Thank you very much. Maybe I will impress my wife by also singing the solidarity song. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Thank you very much. The representative of the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Stella Anobolu, the former governor of Anambra State, simply Mr. and always Mr. Peter Obi. He has become now the most sought-after motivational speaker, trending the social media and everywhere on how best Nigeria should be governed. It's always good to see you, Mr. Peter Obi. I know you will be slightly disappointed if you call Mr. Peter Obi Chief Launcher, because the man who decided to build the government house in Oka, instead of 3 billion, he pruned it down to 300 million. I hope when he's launching it, he will not be giving you cashew nuts. When I was DJ of one, we did a retreat, and he was there with us throughout. He was personally serving the food. And those people who are used to governors giving them very large packages, on the day we were departing, we got cartons of cashew nuts. But on this occasion, Your Excellency, RATTAWU needs you. You are no longer governor, so you are free to donate as generously as possible. Mr. President of RATTAWU, members of RATTAWU executives, past presidents, very good to see you. When I was general manager in the States in 1989 or 90, the man who defeated our candidate, Kabir Yaradua, is seated here. We sponsored another candidate, and he defeated our candidate. It's nice to see you. Since then, our paths have crossed several times, and it's good to see all of you looking good. The former DG of Emekamba, DG of Nigerian NBC, National Broadcasting Commission, and before it, Film and Video Censors Board. Don't be deceived by the gray hair he's putting. You know, he's an actor, so sometimes they put some white chalk. But he is always there in the industry. And those of us who know that this industry also has a lot of glamour, you know that when you whisper to Emekamba, you probably will see some of the most glamorous actors around you. So we need you always to be around. Great comrades, ladies and gentlemen, not forgetting the paper presenter, Professor Omar Pate, the first professor of mass communication north of the Niger, and he's still a very young man. And for those who don't know, he's the Kaigama of Adamawa and one of the members of the Kingmakers Council. So don't joke with this one. Well, RATTAWU is celebrating 40 years. We have spent almost an hour waiting for this event to start. In broadcasting, we are always on time, all the time. So I want to apologize on behalf of everyone for starting this program a bit late, but we'll cover for lost time. We must finish this program before it is 1 o'clock. And therefore, one of the good things about us in the media is that we are very good editors. So we can always edit our speeches, beginning with the national president. I've seen a two-page printed, single-line speech. I'm sure it could be edited. Professor Pate, definitely, I know him, he's a very good editor. So I'm sure we'll cover for lost time. For me, I'm always very happy and proud to be associated with RATTAWU. I have been a member of RATTAWU before I went to university, when I was a junior producer. And when I was chief executive in the states, all Gongola states, and later Adamawa states, and also at Voice of Nigeria, and also as chairman of MON, I've interacted a lot with RATTAWU, and I'm proud to say that the MFR that I have after my name was nominated by RATTAWU. In other words, I was given a national honors because of the nomination of RATTAWU. So I'm always proud of this. Thank you very much, RATTAWU. A lot of things have happened. We are now celebrating 40 years. 40 years is the age of wisdom. And we always say a fool at 40 is a fool forever. RATTAWU is a wise man forever after 40. New challenges have cropped up post-digitization. In those days when we used to cut tapes, use solar tape, and bring them together, the days are gone. You just use your computer and edit everything and just go and air your program. You can even air it from your own office. So a lot of things have happened, and therefore RATTAWU must look at new ways and new innovative ways of confronting new challenges that have also cropped up in the industry. One of the challenges is that we now have so many stations, and actually there are now almost more private stations than the public stations. And most of these private stations are run as private enterprises, which is very good, but they are very, very ununionized. And the challenge of RATTAWU is to make sure that there is unionization in every private broadcast media outfit in Nigeria, because we think that labor should always be part of the consideration when you are looking at your working capital. In some of the broadcast organizations, they actually use them as slave labor, because you work for 3 months, 4 months, 1 year, they pay you, and then they say, oh, they are doing organization. And they go and recruit another set of people, and so on. So one of the challenges of RATTAWU post-digitization is to make sure that the workers in the private sector are duly paid their dues. And the only way to do this is to allow unionization to happen. Another challenge of RATTAWU is that public media must serve the public. And when I say public media, I really mean the media that are owned by the various governments at the state and federal levels. They are not appendages of the government in power. Therefore, we must work assiduously for a review of the acts that have established these public media organizations to make them truly public, truly independent, so that they are not attached to any appendage of any government in power. As a private citizen, I'm also in politics, and I can say that I'm a member of the ruling party. But I believe that every other organization, every other political organization should be given a platform. And that should happen at all levels, in the state, in the federal level, and so on and so forth. So I think the various edicts establishing the various states-owned public media and the various acts establishing the federal media needs to be reviewed. And I think RATTAWU and other stakeholders like NUJ, Guild of Editors, and so on should be in the forefront in making sure that these reviews are done. Finally, I think the political broadcast code, which was established a long time ago in order to ensure that there's fair and balance in the reportage and the programming, also needs to be reviewed, especially the news aspect of it. The programming aspect of it is fairly okay with some minor reviews, but the news aspect is still very fluid, and it leaves a lot of room for that. And I believe that the DG of NBC, who is, I'm sure, being represented here, will take note of this. But the good thing about it is that in every election year, the NBC does organize some kind of retreat to review the political broadcast code to fine-tune it. So I'm sure at the right time, this aspect will be looked at, and I think RATTAWU should also be in the forefront of making sure that there is, the most important thing is that RATTAWU should be in the forefront of sharpening and deepening democracy and human rights across the nation. And this is not about any political party, it's not about any government in power, it's about making sure that democracy is sustained and strengthened. And on this note, I welcome each and every one of us to this event. I wish us a very good outing. And I will be, as chairman of the occasion, like I said, I will be making sure that we keep to time, and I hope that by 1 o'clock we would have left this place and come back for the second plenary in the afternoon. Thank you very much. I wish you and each and every one of us a very happy and fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
That was the opening remarks by the chairman on the occasion, a former Director General, Voice of Nigeria, Alhaji Abubakar Jijiwa, calling on members of RATTAWU across board to key deeply into modern broadcasting as a way of better serving the populace, particularly those in the public media, the ones that are owned by governments at all levels, to do the needful in ensuring that modern broadcast is indeed what it should be. You're watching live on the NTA, the opening ceremony of the 40th anniversary of RATTAWU. And talking about RATTAWU itself, its membership actually cuts across many professionals that are in the broadcast, radio and television media, as well as those in arts and cultural sectors. They include, for the media programs, engineers, marketing, and then administration. But away from the broadcast media, other members of RATTAWU include all officers of working in the arts and cultural sectors who have duly registered with the union. They include the people working. We'll take another remarks here as we continue to update you on the activities going on here.
Thank you so much. Let me quickly skip, or rather, I may breach a kind of protocol, and I'm sorry for that, because we're considering our time. Time factor is what matters now. As rightly pointed out by the chairman of the occasion. Let me quickly recognize our number one worker in Nigeria, Comrade Ayuba Wabba M9, President, Nigeria Labour Congress. NLC is the platform, is a center RATTAWU is affiliated to. So we appreciate your coming. Let me also recognize the representative of the minister and our past leaders who are today alive. And equally, our first executives, wherever they are in Nigeria, those who are dead will recognize their families, because RATTAWU is about ourselves and our families. Let me quickly recognize, most respectfully, the presence of His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State. Let me share it with you. For those who don't know who is Peter Obi, though all has been said by our chairman of the occasion, who is Peter Obi? Peter Obi, he doesn't need religiousness. He doesn't need calling him, he doesn't need following him to occasions, simply because he wants to identify himself as a common man. RATTAWU is a union of a common man. And let me share it again. He has been instrumental to the cause of RATTAWU up to today. He has done so much at state levels and even at national level. Let go. So he's our partner in progress. Let me quickly recognize the elders, the first presidents of RATTAWU, who I believe are the life wire of this union, because they made it. They said it during analog period. We are now in a digital era. So I believe RATTAWU members are now digitized. We are now under transformation. They did it, they struggled when there was no kobo and naira. And today, we at the helm of affairs, we are enjoying the dividend of establishing union in Nigeria, RATTAWU in particular. I want to thank you for that. Let me quickly skip, because I believe you have our address with you. As a nation, we go to 16, phase 16. As a nation, we must consciously interrogate those who present themselves for leadership. We must ask the right questions in order to know what exactly they want to do and how they want to do it. Our failure to do this has compromised us to a position that every election year is seen as an opportunity of the political elites to tell us what they want to do. However, they are usually silent on how they will do it. In the end, what we have as a legacy is a cycle of failed promises. Ever since Nigeria returned to the phase of multi-party democracy, we have witnessed uncertain times promises to deliver on power, health, security, and poverty reduction. Yet, the nation is still grappling with some issues today as it was about 2 decades ago. This suggests to me that we cannot continue to do the same thing in the same way and expect different results. We must change, and there is no better time than now. As a matter of fact, poverty and insecurity are the greatest threats to the Nigerian worker. Workers in Nigeria are unsecured, not just from lack of insurance packages that should be palliatives in times of danger. No, the Nigerian worker lives in perpetual fear of attacks, be it armed robbery, be it armed banditry, kidnapping, Boko Haram, or herdsmen orgy of violence. These atrocities have claimed the lives of thousands of workers, including eggheads such as professors. We therefore call on the state authorities to, as a matter of urgency, address the security challenges in the country. The broad letting is simply unacceptable and compromises what gives the state legitimacy, namely protection of lives and property. My dear comrades, brothers and sisters, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, there is so much that undermines our dignity and worth. There is increasing wealth in the land, but this is concentrated in the hand of only few. While we must not relent in struggling for our collective emancipation, let me at this time, let me assure you that the solidarity of sharing in brotherhood is better than the comfort zone of greed. Let the warmth of our solidarity animate us to fight against inimical policies and programs that make our toil and labor a futile venture. Once again, I welcome you all to this 40th anniversary, 40 years celebration. Long live RATTAWU. Long live all affiliates of NLC and TUC. Long live the wage workers of Nigeria. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you. Aluta. Thank you so much.
President of RATTAWU, Comrade Dr. Kabir Garba Sani, in a very solemn remark here. In his very words, while we must not relent in struggling for our collective emancipation, the solidarity of sharing and brotherhood is better than the comfort zone of greed. Very pivotal at this time. You're watching the 40th anniversary celebration of RATTAWU live on the NTA. A handful of shadows will take place here one after the other. The biggest being the book launch by His Excellency the former Governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, who is here.
To talk about these things. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, comrades, let's put our hands together as I invite a former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, who will come forward and talk about leadership and service delivery. Let's put our hands together for him.
The chairman of this occasion, my own dear brother, the minister, being represented by my sister, and the chairman and his dear wife. Not too often do we go to an event in Nigeria and go with our wives. Chairman, I must give you kudos for that. Great RATTAWU! You know, I'm a member by association. All the dignitaries that are here in the front seat, let me very respectfully stand on all due protocols. Mine is just to say goodwill. I'll start by saying to RATTAWU, 40 years, like he said, the chairman said, is a great thing. It's worthy of celebration. And I thank you, the chairman, for this anniversary, and say congrats to all of you. And say to RATTAWU, to the chairman, I listened to your speech. That your speech was wonderful. I can see my friend, Bamboshe, he's my good friend. He was the RATTAWU chairman when I was the president, when I was in office. And they had an event in Newark, and I told them that when you talk about national development, RATTAWU have a very, very great role to play. Because you're the communicator of whatever is good or bad. You're the ingredient. So it's very critical. You are the nation. And I listened to the chairman and his comments and of everything. The president, let me not reduce your position. And they said, I'm going to talk about leadership. I don't want to talk anything about leadership. The only thing I said to people is that the air we breathe in Nigeria is not strong. We don't breathe bad air. The food we eat is good. The life, everything about Nigeria is good. The only thing Nigeria lacks is visionary leadership. Those who care about Nigeria. Nigeria needs people who are wealth creators and managers rather than those who are wealth sharers and wasters. Presently, I'm a politician. And I'm one of those who are called themselves politicians in Nigeria. And I said presently that the political leadership in Nigeria is very low. It's not going to bring Nigeria out of its problem. And that is why I've taken time to compare ourselves, not to talk about Nigeria. When I came in here, I told the president, I want to use the restroom. He said to me, let them bring the key to open somewhere for me. I said, President, I want to know where everybody uses, because that's where I want to use. And when I went in to use it, he showed me the failure of Nigeria. Nothing works in this country. And that is why when people talk about me, about the airport, I said, why are we talking about going to build a new terminal when the little ones we have is not functional? If you look at this facility built by government, it's a total failure. That is Nigeria. Everywhere else, Ghana, Rwanda, it will be working. When you want to use, you use where the public, everybody uses. So if I go to the airport, they want me to use the VIP lounge because that's where the system works. That's where the toilet works. How about where the public uses? That is what I want to use. I want to drive on a road from here to Onitsha, where I live, not fly. And I want to go on a good road. And there's no reason why I won't go on a good road, because there's money to build a good road. But somewhere along the line, somebody have refused to do it. And we have become insanely complacent and tolerant of bad leadership. Don't think I used to say the problem is the leaders. But after serving for 8 years, I can tell you the major problem is the followers. I never met anybody who told me I was wrong. Everybody just says His Excellency. What is excellency? Excellency means an excellent thing we can emulate and celebrate. That's why if you go to school, you have fair, good, very good, best, excellent. That's what it means. So why are we celebrating people who are not fair, not out of good? What is honorable about somebody who has never kept one honor? And what is distinguished about somebody who has not distinguished himself in anything? We have become a society that celebrates criminality and celebrates incompetence. Nobody can take that. It cannot work. Today all you hear is bad news about our country. It's killings, murders. We have now been made the poorest country in the world. Nobody cares about it. We have the highest number of out-of-school children, 13-point-something million. More than a population of more than 50 states, over 50% of the countries in the world. Nobody cares about them. Nobody is asking questions. Our graduates are not employed. We have one of the highest youth unemployment. If you know what youth unemployment can cost to a nation, you won't stay. Because you have people in their youthful age, in their productive age, doing nothing. When they retire, when they get to retirement age, without anything to fall back on, they will be anarchy. And this is a country that was doing well yesterday. 40 years, you're celebrating 40 years. What time was 40 years? So when did you start? President, what was 40 years ago? 91? 1978. So 1980. Let me use 1980. 1980, this country was better country than China. The GDP of Nigeria in 1980, was $146 billion. China was 341. Per capita, Nigeria was 870. China was $193 per capita, which is what it was to determine a wealth of a country. Nigeria was 870. China was 193. Nigeria had in savings in 1980 $10.5 billion. China had 10 billion. That is when RATTAWU started. And today, we used to be per capita 870, China was 193. We had in savings $10.5 billion, they had 10. Today, China had in savings, so we used to be a par. China had today $3 trillion, and we have 30. They have no oil, nothing. 40 years ago. China per capita now have moved to $8,000, and we are 2,000. They used to be 1/4 of us. Now we are 1/4 of them. They don't have oil. They don't have anything. So what did they do? Korea, in 1980, that's when RATTAWU started. I just want to work the way. Korea, in 1980, had a GDP of $161 billion. We were 146, so we are not far from Korea. Korea had in savings $3 billion. We had 10, so we're 10.5. So we are 3 times Korea. Today, Korea's GDP is about 2 trillion, and we are 400. I remember that I said we were half of China in 1980. Today, where China is 30 times us, because their GDP today is about 12 trillion, and we are 400. Korea is now 5 times us. Korea's saving today is, as of last week, is $480 billion. And we are 30. I can go on and go on. I don't want to take your time. But we have a crisis. And it was a crisis of leadership. We had people who did not understand tomorrow. So they were leading for yesterday. And it continues to be the same thing. Today in Nigeria, there's no governance. We are preoccupied by election. We are preoccupied by, we've actually become Nollywood. We now act films every day. And people are watching us. Politics is about governance. And we're no longer providing the governance. You are in office. I was removed. I was impeached as a governor. Some people don't know. I was impeached twice. I was the only person removed in office twice in this country. The day I was impeached, I was working. When you are elected, you work every day. I was in my office when people came and told me the first time I was impeached. I told somebody this morning that my doctor came and took my blood pressure and said, it's normal. I said, I was not born a governor. If they don't want me, I'll go. But I will not change my style. Second time, the same thing happened, and I left. But I insisted I must have it my way. I recall coming to see former Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Begore, on my first impeachment, and he said, I wrote a petition. He said, why were you impeached? What you wrote here is impossible. I said, yes, that's what I was impeached. I had to repair the office of the governor, 298 million naira, approved budget, and I repaired it with 43 million. And they said I didn't go through the due process. What due process? Because I wanted it to somebody who was to waste our money. I said, no, we can't afford it. That was my first impeachment notice. The second one was my own home, where I was to live as a governor. The budget was approved for 486 million, and I did it with 81 million. And I said, listen, it is public money. You can't use it recklessly. The money belonging to my children. It is their future. I am the custodian of public money. I have to use it judiciously. That is why I said to them, third notice was I started savings. Because I said we must save money. Our major source of income comes from oil, which is a diminishing asset. And we must save it for tomorrow. We are the only country that doesn't have a savings plan for our children. And we have a diminishing asset. And people are keeping quiet. The more you can put in education today, people know, the more your development. We're not investing in education. In 5 years, from 2010 to 2017, the amount of money Nigeria has spent in education is not up to 1 year expenditure on education for South Africa. Your second biggest economy. And you're the biggest. But you're not spending money educating your children who will compete tomorrow. The world have moved from baggage to knowledge economy. You're not investing in knowledge. You're not investing in anything. You're busy talking about how to share all your money. Trade union, your role has changed. Your role before was to protect and see to the welfare of your people. Your role today is to work and contribute in building a better country. We have no other country except this one. And all of us will build it. And you will build it by voicing out what is the truth. Nobody is perfect. And let nobody tell you he's too much, he knows everything. Anybody who is a leader who knows everything, don't work with him, he's an idiot. Every leader is a learner. I told them in my speech in Lagos yesterday that it took an 80-year-old woman to make me to pay everybody I owe pension and gratuity. She's 98 today, sick and in hospital, Miss Cindy Bay. I went to see her last week. in the hospital. I used to go to morning mass every day as a governor. Miss Cindy Bay came to me where I was praying and asked me to stop praying. And I said, why, Mom? He said, go and pay me my pension and God will listen to your prayers. I left the church with Miss Cindy Bay and went to her house with her. And we talked about pension. She became a mother to me. I didn't know her before. Wonderful woman. Told me to owe a pensioner is crime. And I say it any day. Because the older a human being gets, the weaker his life and the lesser his opportunity. You can't owe him a lifetime. Today, we have a situation where people are owing salary for 6 months. I watched one that shocked me. A chief of staff was asked that the government is owing for 18 months. He said it's a lie. They're only owing for 11 months. And they're campaigning. And you know the shock? They are campaigning for another term. How dare you? Which country does it happen where the one you are giving to do you have not paid and you are asking to be given another chance? And people are following you. And people are saying you're doing well. There must be something wrong in this country. It doesn't happen anywhere. You should be begging to leave. You should be begging to leave, to be allowed to go freely. That's what it should be. I have a situation where people are celebrating their birthdays in government house when they're owing people salary. When people are being owed, you're celebrating. And people are attending the same ceremony. And you ask yourself, these people who are attending the ceremony, are they human beings? Because if they are, they would have asked that question. We've turned our government now into a party center. It shouldn't be. So, retired people, you have a duty because you're a communicator. I'm sorry, Chairman, that I gave people cashew nuts. That was what I had then. That was very simple. I used to come home. I say it every day. You listen to it every day. And my cook will cook food that will not be finished by 50 people. And I said, why? He said, in case if I come home with people. I said, what for? If anybody is going to come here and eat with me, I will tell you. This is not a hotel. I don't run a hotel. I run a government house. And you have only one person to cook, me. If there's extra, I'll let you know. One of those who believe in me today is my cook in Abuja here. We used to have a governor's lodge here. But the last shut it down. Why would a governor of Anambra say have a lodge in Abuja? It doesn't have anything to do with Abuja. So why would I have a house here? There's hotels here, and they charge 40,000 naira. Most of them are owned even by Anambra people. Rock Views, owned by Anambra person. When I became governor, I went to him, he gave me 50% discount. So why can't I sleep here one night and go home? What am I doing with a lodge here? Why will you do it? And people say, no, we have to keep a lodge. Go to America where you people want to emulate and ask them whether any governor have a lodge in Washington. What are the hotels for? People want you to come from Oka to here with 30 police. What are they? Is it not police? There's police already in Abuja. What I'm trying to say, you have a job, you have a role. Please, think about this country. Nobody will do it for us. I am not a saint. I say it any day. But whoever tells you there's not enough, yes, there might not be enough to do everything. I governed the state for 8 years. I never owed any worker. I didn't owe pension. I didn't owe any supplier. I disagree with a few people. We quarreled with them. But I didn't owe any supplier the day I left. And I say it any day, the day I left office, you are RATTAWU, so you are media people, go to these 3 banks and tell them that Peter Obi said the day he left office that I had in Access Bank $50 million and 12 billion naira for the state. I had in Fidelity Bank $56 million and 12 billion naira. And I had in Diamond Bank $50 million and 12 billion the day I left office. And I was not owing anybody. We didn't print money. What we did is I will shut down the cost of governance. RATTAWU people are here, those who know me. We said, no, one person cannot be moving around with 25 vehicles. It's wrong. The man cannot be in 2 vehicles at a time. So anything more than 5 vehicles should not be on the road. And we don't need to push anybody out. Anambra governor does not need dispatch rider. Yesterday, Josephine Anini said it in Onitsha. What I told them, I didn't come to the people with the police when I was asking for their vote. So I don't need to come to police to meet them. We can shut it down. Obasanjo is alive today. He visited me. He insisted, the people insisted we build presidential lodge in Oka. I said, no. The president doesn't live in Oka. They say it's in every state. I said, no. He doesn't live in Oka. So we cannot have a presidential lodge in Oka. If he wants to come to Oka, we'll find him a place to sleep. If it's not conducive, if he's the president of the country, I came to him and I said, sir, you can come in the morning and go in the evening. You don't need to sleep in Oka. It's your president of the country, you have plane. You don't need to sleep here. He told me he would sleep. I said, okay. Since you're going to sleep, his people came. They said they will stay one day. I said, come and see my lodge. I invited these people. They were nice to me. And I showed them my lodge. They said it's good enough. I said, fine. I told my wife, let's vacate it for 1 week or 1 month. Whenever they want it, we'll come back. But we're not going to build a new house for them. It's already been awarded contract, 550 million naira. I canceled the contract and I told them, no, that is the building alone, and we'll furnish it. He came and stayed in my lodge, he stayed in my bedroom. After 2 days, he left. And since then, nobody has slept there. I would have had a big house that I don't need. I'll pay about 700 million to put it, and to keep it going, I need about 50 million naira a month when I have schools without roof. Please help this country. You can change it. The girls who had just won an award in America, I wanted to show you their event in 2015. They didn't have a building. Go and ask anybody. I had to knock down a place to do their building. Gave them computer. All our schools have buses, they have computers, they have everything. That's what we are elected to do. Not to use public money wrongly. So RATTAWU, in celebration, I can only urge you, be part of this nation building. We need to build this country. I'm not the keynote speaker, because I'm sure the keynote speaker would delight you. Mine is, wherever I go, is to beg people, please, there's enough to develop and work in this country. Let nobody give you impression there's not enough. Tell you that Peter Obi said, there's enough. I was there for 8 years. Not just listening. I was there for 8 years. Yes, it's 8 years of quarreling with people. 8 years of making enemies with people. But like I always say to people, yes, if my own dear wife comes home and says, people are not happy with you, the elites are not happy with me. And I agree. But there's people who are in the entertainment industry whose job is to make people happy. But I can say that if the Anambra people are here, they will tell you, I have the best road. We had the best road network. I can drive from one end of Anambra to another end in 30 minutes. That's what we elected to do. Our school came from number 25 to number 1, 2011, 12, and 13. It is there because every school had. But why do I say that I must get involved? It took school children to change our schools. The parents couldn't talk to me. Nobody could talk to me. But what was amazing, I gave each senior prefect of a secondary school, after a young girl of 11 years reminded me that I don't keep to my promise. I gave each of them phone, senior prefect of every secondary school. You won't believe what they did to me. But every day they tell you they have no mathematics teacher. And I called the principal of the same school. Principal, do you have any problem? He said, there's no problem. But the senior prefect is saying they have no teacher for mathematics. He said, oh, yes, yes, yes. But he's trying to do, and it's very because it's fearing, oh, he will lose his job. Why will you lose your job for telling somebody what is the truth? Tell him that it's wrong. Principal, why you don't have English teacher? Oh, the English teacher is on holidays. When they don't have, the children are telling you, no, we don't have. Their tap is not working. And that's how they changed everything. They wanted computer. They wanted everything. And we provided it. And we are number 22. So that's how you can help. I mean, I was coming to Abuja here. When Ngozi, well, I was begging all of us to save money. Then nobody tell you there was, she was crying. All of us said, let's share the money. And we shared it. To conclude, look at where your country is today. I said it in platform last year. Nobody listened. A country that all its debts was written off in 2008, we are not owing anybody. We paid $12 billion and they wrote off 18. 10 years after, 2018, then we were owing 30. We are now owing $73 billion. And nobody can show me what that money is used for. My dear people, the society we allow them to abuse today will take its revenge on us and our children. God bless you for a happy event.
And that has been the speech by the former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, charging members of RATTAWU across board to effectively contribute their own quota to nation building as communicators in Nigeria. The 40th anniversary celebration of RATTAWU still on here in Abuja.
Great RATTAWU.
The members we are referring to include all officers working in the arts and cultural sectors who have duly registered with the union, and these people include those working in National Council for Museums and Monuments, NCMM, National Gallery of Arts, NGA, National Theatre, National Troupe of Nigeria, National Council for Arts and Culture, and Abuja Council for Arts and Culture. These are the people being charged with this responsibility as they mark 40 years of their existence.
For 5 minutes, let's invite the cultural troupe to take over. Thank you very much. Three minutes for you guys, 3 minutes. Let's get it done in 3 minutes.
brief entertainment for you, provided by the Abuja Council for Arts and Culture, ACAC. It's so amazing to see how rich Nigeria is in all ramifications. It's a wonderful day for members of RATTAWU, 40th anniversary. And do not forget that the theme is media and culture as tools for national transformation, cohesion, and good governance. Everything good is indeed good. So let's keep watching events as they unfold here at the Super Frequency Cultural Center, RATTAWU, Abuja.
Let's put our hands together once more time for that performance. All right. Now that we have had the taste of entertainment and that we all are happy, let us return to the little matter of some hard talk. And at this point in time, may I invite one of us, and of course you'll know why when he steps up here to deliver the keynote address. And let's put our hands together for Professor Umaru Pati of the Bayero University, Kano. Thank you very much.
The representative of the Honorable Minister, the chairman of the occasion and his wife, leadership of RATTAWU, before leadership of RATTAWU, the national president of our great NLC, sir, leadership of RATTAWU, distinguished members of RATTAWU, friends of RATTAWU, good morning or good afternoon. Let me start by thanking RATTAWU for finding me worthy to be invited to deliver this keynote address on the occasion of its 40th anniversary. I can't say why RATTAWU decided to invite me, but for whatever reason, I thank RATTAWU and I appreciate the gesture. I've been asked to speak on RATTAWU at 40, media and culture as tools for national transformation, cohesion, and good governance. I prepared my paper quite all right, but considering the length of time available, I'm going to skip a lot of aspects in the paper and just take an aspect and speak to it. I'm sure RATTAWU will later distribute the paper to its members. Now, I think the most proper thing to do is to start by acknowledging the contributions of RATTAWU in the last 40 years. Of course, it has been existing, not necessarily as a union, since this establishment of radio, television, and all aspects of arts and theater in this country. So what happened in 1978 was simply to gather the members into an organized body and then name it RATTAWU. It became part of the NLC. And in the last 40 years, we know that RATTAWU has remained a rallying point, a credible affiliate of the NLC, and the leading union in the cultural production sector in the country. Over time, it has remained quite active in the domain of culture, entertainment, and fiction in the country. Not only that, it has also kept our broadcasting sector alive in spite of all the challenges that we have been encountering in that sector. If not for RATTAWU, certainly many of our radio stations, TV stations wouldn't be on air. So RATTAWU has been doing quite well. Again, RATTAWU has produced celebrities in this country. If not for RATTAWU, certain people in politics will not be known by anybody. Certain people in the entertainment industry will not be known by anybody. Today we have people who are nobodies in courts, but because of radio, because of TV, they are over-celebrated in this country. And like the last speaker, Mr. Peter Obi, said, we over-celebrate mediocrity, or rather, we over-celebrate failure and then underachieve in excellence. And these things are evident all over the place. But no matter what, you cannot produce a program and show on TV without talking about excellence, which means RATTAWU, in a way, personifies excellence in its own ways of doing things. Again, RATTAWU constantly reminds us on the central role of culture, entertainment, in our politics, in our economics, in our social existence. Now, let me talk about power of communication. And when you talk of power of communication, certainly you must talk about RATTAWU. We know that in the radio sector or in the television sector or in the broadcast sector generally, we have news, we have programs. News mostly is elite-oriented. It's for those at the top, while programming is for everybody, without necessarily saying it's for the big bosses. In news every day, what you hear is he says, he explains, he lamented, he described. In programming, it is not necessarily like that, which means you have a larger platform and you have a larger support and probability or possibility or instruments in your hand to influence the minds of Nigerians far more than any other person in this country. And if we agree that communication is a powerful tool for social change, then it means you are holding the instruments of change in this country. Now, the fundamental power in human change is what? It's always about communication. And you can see how communication has transformed in its entirety, from analog to digital, and the kinds of impact these things are making all over the world. Now, my hypothesis or my argument here is that RATTAWU is strong, it commands the power of communication, and therefore it has the instruments of changing things in this country. And like I've said, I'm not going to focus on all the aspects I've been asked to speak because we do not have the time. National transformation, national cohesion, good governance. These are all heavily loaded variables that can form real papers on their own. So what I intend to do is to just focus on one aspect, that is cohesion, national integration. And what are we talking about here? When we talk of national integration, we are talking about the unity of this country, the peaceful coexistence of this country, the aggregate agreement that all of us are staying in one country. And what does that connote? It connotes unity. It means living together. It means fusing together to act as one nation. And all these things are written in the various instruments that we have in this country. And integration is not something that just happens accidentally. It means what? The gradual diminution of ethnic, cultural, and regional tendencies with the aim of creating and sustaining a heterogeneous, or homogeneous rather, political economy. Now the question is, to what extent is Nigeria a United Nations 50 or 60 years after our independence? The next October, Nigeria will be what? 58 years all as a nation. But we are still talking about coming together. We are still asking whether we are a nation. We are still debating on whether we should continue or not. Instead of us concentrating on how can we improve our education, how can we compete globally, technologically with other countries, how can we reduce or increase our defense expenditure, all these things are not the major issues at stake. Rather, do we still continue to live as a nation or not? I think we ought to be moving higher. And how are some of these things manifested? You have ethnic and religious crisis all over the place. people killing each other all over the place for one reason or another, highest level of corruption that they can think of all over the place. And when you talk of Nigeria, like I always say, what comes to your mind? Every part of this country has a unique affiliation that is negatively associated to it. The moment you mention Northeast, what comes to your mind? Boko Haram. When you talk of North Central, ethno-religious crisis. When you talk of the Northwest, religious fundamentalism, and now farmers, hunters crisis. When you talk of the Southeast, it is kidnapping, armed robbery, and now Biafranization. When you talk of the Southeast, what comes to your mind? Militancy, kidnappings, and all of that. When you talk of the Southwest, what comes to your mind? It is area boys, armed robbery, and all of that. When you talk of Abuja, it is corruption unlimited. So by the time you mention every point in this country, you have a major negative affiliation attached to it. So how can we achieve national integration, all of this? Or even before then, look at the history of our integration. Amalgamation in 1914. In 1967, we had states created. Then later, we had in 75 more states and more states until we arrived at 36. Not only that, we developed several institutions to promote national integration. And what are some of these institutions? In the educational sector, you had schools that promoted exchanges, taking students from one point to another. You had the media. If you take the FRCN, the NTA, the Nigerian media regime system is supposed to promote integration. Look at the kind of routes we have developed, airports, telecommunication, the trade, commerce, and all of that. All of these were developed to do what? To promote integration. And most importantly, if you look at the civil service, the federal civil service, the armed forces, and all these institutions were done what? To promote integration, so that people could have rallying points and then have a good understanding of who we are. But what are we experiencing today? Just take the educational sector. The simplest example I give today is that we are increasingly provincializing education in this country. In the past, it was not possible for you to sit in one place and then have all your education, but today it's possible. As a lecturer in Bayero University, it is possible for me today to marry a lady on that campus, have a child, the child will attend the nursery school on the campus, primary school on the campus, secondary school on the campus, university on the campus, NYSC, we come to Abuja here and then do some magumogu and get the child posted to same place. At the end of the day, this same child will come to Abuja here, occupy a very important position because I could influence through my friends, and then they will bring a file from Bayelsa, bring a file from Sokoto for this same child to write on without having the slightest idea of the map of Nigeria, not to talk of the conditions of the areas he's supposed to be talking about. And this is also what we have in the media today. You have people that have never ever crossed their state boundaries, sitting down to talk about other parts of Nigeria based on ignorance and gross poverty of knowledge of such areas. And at the end of the day, what do we have? Anger. People are just angry about each other, and this translates into hatred. This is why you see people distributing hatred left, right, and center. You see fake news all over the place because people do not even understand the geographies of these areas, not to talk of the histories, and then the sociological composition and the kind of people that are in such places. In our schools, we have stopped teaching history until recently. Geography is no longer a subject that you need to know, so many students cannot even draw the map of Nigeria. Now, the media organizations that are supposed to be national in representations, because of commercialization, because of bureaucratic incompetence, no longer produce documentaries that take you around Nigeria, no longer produce programs that can teach you about the country. We are all focused on entertainment because this is where sponsorship will come, this is where money is available. So the social responsibility of teaching Nigerians about Nigeria, for them to appreciate the kind of people that are in this country, is completely lacking. And what is the consequence? ethno-religious conflicts, fake news, hatred, dangerous speeches all over the place. And not only that, our politicians themselves are not helping matters. Some of them are more worse informed than the least person you can think of on the street. Somebody who is supposed to represent the country opens up his mouth, and when he speaks, you feel ashamed of yourself. People are more concerned about defecting from one political party to another instead of defecting from ignorance to knowledge. So, and this is where we are. So, what do we need to do? Nigeria is a very beautiful country. No matter how much you will take your time to convince me, I will not agree that we will be better off scattering this country. A country of 200 million people, the last estimate that came from the United Nations system is we are 198 million. And at the rate we are growing, very soon we shall be hitting and passing the 200 million mark. What are we doing to create opportunities that will take care of these populations that we are increasingly producing in this country? Who cares? And what will be the consequence? Are we addressing that? No. Are we creating new opportunities? No. Do we pretend that things will continue to remain or change? Apart from just sloganizing about change, what actual change, what change practically have we brought to our people? What will be the responsibility of RATTAWU in all of this? Certainly, you have a central role. You have a very critical responsibility to play because you control the modes of entry into people's minds. And don't forget, you have a very critical challenge in the social media. And this is why, when one looks at some of the challenges that RATTAWU is being confronted with, they are not easy challenges. They are cognitive, they are affective, and they are really practical. So how prepared is RATTAWU and NUJ and all other bodies in terms of confronting and addressing the evolving challenges in contemporary society? Of course, we cannot cut Nigeria away from the global scenario. The standards are the same. When you use camera or when you use instruments on NTA or your television stations, this equipment might not necessarily be produced here. So the standards they use are global. So to what extent are we also global in our behavior, in our actions, and in our level of understanding of issues at stake? This is a thing that RATTAWU needs to have a very good understanding of it. And this is not to suggest that I'm unaware of some of the challenges that RATTAWU may be confronted, one of which is what? General societal tendencies and disrespect for values in this country. Corruption is a wide-known general societal issue in Nigeria. Certainly, in a way, it will affect and impact on what RATTAWU does, and we are seeing it. Then, effects of excessive bureaucratization of the creative sector. The creative sector is not an industry where you now bureaucratize it. Let me give you a very simple example. If you're working in a television industry, news can happen any moment. Programming, you need to invite people from all over. But now with TSA, do you have to wait and tell the news person, please wait until we apply for money from the central bank for you to go to so-so place and cover news stories? No. When your camera breaks down, it needs immediate attention. And again, these are people who use creative talents. They have to think. And when you have to work with artists from all over, there's no way you can write a TV industry or TV or radio without having artists. Now you can pay your artists. You have to wait for TSA. What will be the impact of that? There are track of things that are happening. You have competitors in the social media, so they overtake you, and people believe in them. So this is a real challenge that we have to address, and RATTAWU must rise up to that challenge. Then again, demands of consumers on producers. Some of us, when we watch TV, we have our standards, and we judge you because we watch BBC, we watch CNN, we watch the other stations. So we expect standards in Nigeria also to be at that level. You cannot tell me because you are in Nigeria, your standards should be the same. You are using the same equipment, the same platforms. So to what extent are you able to rise up to that challenge? Of course, we are aware, or somebody like me may be aware, but the outsider may not know that you also have some other political and economic forces that are undermining your efforts on a daily basis. So this is also another challenge. The issue of ownership. Mr. Obi spoke here. We spoke here about people who, the chairman, people who employ graduates of communication, theater, and others in their stations, yet they do not pay them salaries. What is the moral justification for that? Why should somebody work for the end of the month, up to the end of the month, and yet he's not paid? And this is somebody who uses his creative talent. You want excellence to come out of his brain. And you can't have good thinking with poor stomachs, or when people are poor in terms of, or maybe let's use the expressions of Amartya Sen. When people are not free from hunger, people are not free from peacelessness, people are not free from illiteracy, there is no way you can get them to give you the best. No way. So how is RATTAWU going to address this issue? Again, affects misuse of social and conventional media in this country. It's a reality. The most unfortunate is when the conventional media also resorts to distributing hatred or resorts to copying stories from the social media, which are fake, which are hate-oriented, which are dangerous to the existence of the nation, then there is a problem. And we're having that in this country. You could see how, because of absence of equipment, because of limitations, they now resort to what? Copying stories from the social media. This is not how it should be. Rather, it should be the reverse. The social media should be copying NTA, FRCN, and all other legitimately established and operating stations in this country. The danger is when our established radio stations and TV stations reproduce some of these fake stories, they put some stamp of legitimacy and credibility to such stories, and people can easily believe in that because it is assumed you have all sorts of channels for gatekeeping. So any story coming out of NTA, FRCN, AIT, channels, or whatever must be the truthful and the credible. But what are we seeing? Commercialization gives people who come to tell lies all sorts of opportunities on national credible platforms. So these are some of the challenges, and there are many more. What can RATTAWU do? One, I believe RATTAWU needs to strengthen its base to serve as a knowledge-based welfare organization. The economy is knowledge-based now everywhere. So one of the things RATTAWU may wish to do is how do you promote the knowledge of your members? And when I talk of knowledge, real knowledge, it also needs to strengthen professionalism, standards, and ethical standing among members. And you can also work with some of the regulatory agencies like MBC and others to ensure that there are standards in the industry. Then we also talk about reskilling to be able to handle digital media platforms. This is the age of multi-skilling. The universities are now changing. Let me just give you some privileged information. Very soon there will not be degrees in mass comm in all Nigerian universities. What we are going to have is BSc journalism, BSc broadcasting, BSc public relations, BSc advertising, BSc information and media studies, BSc development communication, BSc film and multimedia studies. And the proposal is with the NUC. We have worked hard on that. And once it comes, it means you are going to have people with people who are seriously trained professionals with a lot of skills to be in the industry, which means RATTAWU must also live up to date. You have to align yourself to evolving contemporary realities in the industry. Otherwise, you will be out of business. And RATTAWU should be able to lead its members in that direction. Organize learning platforms for knowledge sharing, embrace innovation to create content for the audience. The audience are demanding new contents on a daily basis. So to what extent is RATTAWU as an organization, and then the members of RATTAWU as individuals are able to live up to the standards and the new tests being developed by the audiences? This is also another issue. And then another issue is the issue of embracing competitive realities in the industry. Whether we like it or not, media organizations are business entities in Nigeria today, and there is competition. So RATTAWU should be able to embrace that and then lead the way. Then identify and segment the market to serve it based on its need. Most importantly, RATTAWU also needs to use legal and institutional means to protect, promote, and project its members despite all kind of, the types of treatments they receive from some employers. We have some recalcitrant employers we know in the industry who do not pay salaries. And if they do not pay, how do we expect members to survive? We have employers who do not supply equipment. And in the new era of doing things, equipment and having real-time performance is a necessity. Then, finally, understand the Constitution of Nigeria, the various national policies we have, the rule of law, and then believe that Nigeria is a diverse and a multicultural nation. And if we agree on that, what do we need to do to promote that? We cannot promote multiculturalism, we cannot promote diversity by promoting hatred through our programming, through our performances, through the kind of jokes that we distribute when we perform as members of RATTAWU and all of that. Members at all levels need to have fair knowledge of Nigeria as a country, like we have said, and its rules and regulations. Then based on that, we can contribute our quota in the integration of Nigeria, in the unity of Nigeria, and in keeping Nigeria as a nation. The media has a very, very important role to play. And like I've said, I won't go into much details in the discussions, but these are some few thoughts I believe RATTAWU may wish to consider and also maybe see how it can mainstream amongst its own members on the occasion of this 40th anniversary. Let me once again thank RATTAWU leadership for inviting me, thank the chairman, and above all, thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Umaru Pate. And of course, in keeping with the editor...
Of course, that has been the keynote address on this occasion delivered by Professor Umaru Pate of Bayero University, still challenging members of RATTAWU to do the needful in further integrating the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Of course, you're watching live on the NTA, the 40th anniversary celebration of RATTAWU, and actually more presentations will be made here. We told you earlier on about that of a book launch, and it is part of the activities lined up for this opening ceremony.
President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba, to come forward, and of course RATTAWU President, he'll also come forward and be by Comrade Ayuba Waba as he presents this book to the public. Thank you very much.
The chairperson of this occasion and your beautiful wife, our chief host, the president of RATTAWU, the representative of the Honorable Minister, Mr. Peter Obi, as he wanted to be addressed, the former governor of Anambra State, other esteemed invited guests, as well as members of the National Administrative Council and Central Working Committee of NLC, but importantly, great members of RATTAWU from the length and breadth of this country. I feel highly happy for RATTAWU setting out this day to celebrate your 40-year anniversary. It is very important and significant because it is also an opportunity for us to x-ray what progress has been made, where we are coming from, what challenges we have confronted as working class and as a union, and what do we have in stock for the future. Because it has been said that the future also starts now and today. And therefore, I want to congratulate the union. I want to also congratulate the founding fathers. I've seen them in large number at this celebration because this is workers' organization. And therefore, we must continue to use this platform to advance for quality representation and better issues for our society. We cannot wish that our country and the society becomes better if the citizens are not actively involved and participate actively in asking questions and demanding over for good governance. So I think this platform is a welcome development, and I want to really congratulate RATTAWU for putting this platform in place. Comrade, let me say that clearly from the thoughts that both the guest speaker and the earlier speakers have been able to present to us, it is clear that we need to do more. As Nigerians, we need to ask more, because the era of smiling and suffering, as Fela used to say, cannot continue. Because like the situation of workers is like we are also smiling and then in the same way suffering. So clearly speaking, I think RATTAWU and also our counterpart in the media house, that is NUJ, will have also an important role to play in dissemination of credible information. Because part of also the issue of our challenge of development is even the credibility of information that goes to the public. In fact, if you look at most of our media houses today, including the conventional ones, the issue of stories that are actually tilted towards advancing one interest or the other have been the order of the day. And therefore, the credibility of such information have also been called to question. And therefore, the issue of fake news have also been on the increase. The issue of the social media, I think, is something that we also need to draw some example from other countries. Recently, the leadership of NUJ and their counterpart from China paid a courtesy call on NLC, where they also, on their delegation, had the social media group. In that country, they are also organized and is being run by professionals. And therefore, there is a way that professionalism is also maintained, because at the heart of development of every country is the fact that citizens need to get credible informations, and therefore, if those informations are not credible, it has also been used as an avenue to cause disaffection and cause disunity. And therefore, it is central. Just as we address the issue of insecurity, it is also important for us to address the issue of the credibility of the information that is put before the public. And I'm hopeful, and I'm sure, that these two unions have a role to play, but importantly also the larger society. We must be able to interrogate every information and news that is before the public, because without doing so, it also means that we are encouraging such practices to continue in our society. Before I go into the book launch, I must also speak on a very important issue, which is central to the welfare and well-being of Nigerians. The primary purpose of governance everywhere around the world, but importantly, as provided in our Constitution, is the fact that it is about welfare of the citizens, but importantly, it's also about their security. And the two goes together. Without the welfare of the citizen being taken care of, then it is also difficult for the issue of security to continue to be maintained, because it is being said that a hungry person at every point in time can also become an angry person. And therefore, it is also being said that a mind that is not occupied can also be occupied by something else. And therefore, it will be in our own enlightened interest as a country, as an organization, to continue to insist that these two objectives of good governance, i.e. the security and welfare of the people, must continue to drive all our engagement. I've had the conversation when people say that governors were not elected only to pay salary, that they also have to build roads. The two must go together, because it has been proven that indices of development has to do with also the issues of poverty, issues of the social service, because indices of development all over has to do with what level of education do we have, what is our illiteracy rate, what is the level of poverty, because today I can say that what we have is a pool of the working poor. People are working, but yet they are poor. and they cannot be able to meet up their daily needs. And that's why we have migrated from where we are before to now the poverty capital of the world. The statistics cannot change except we work together to change it. The issues cannot change. The literacy level, the poverty level, the level of the decay in our healthcare system, because those are indices that are used to measure development. Mortality rates, the issue of life expectancy, which has dropped from over 50 to now 47 and 48. These are issues of development, and therefore there is no way those issues can be discussed in isolation. Yes, we agree that side by side with the issue of taking care of the welfare of the citizen is the fact also that we must take care of our critical infrastructures. And we are sure that even on the issue of minimum wage, where there have been arguments whether there is ability to pay or not, I think Peter Obi have told us where the problem lies. If we reduce stealing and looting, there will be more than enough to pay for good services and improve the lives of our people. That is the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. And today the secret has been made. And therefore the argument that have been recycled about the ability to pay is worn out. We have had what he left in the coffers of his state as a governor. And he has also told us how he has been able to manage the resources and have more than enough, where he has been able to pay pensioners as well as also the workers as and when due. We have made the point, comrades. Enough of lamentation. We have understood where the problem lies. Nigeria is so blessed in terms of resources, in terms of human capacity, in terms of everything of development. But the problem is that few, despite the fact that I can say that workers are on a poverty wage, our political elites from 2008 to date, they are on maximum wage. Why do I say so? In 2008, the earning of all political office holders is on record, was reviewed upward by over 800%. From councillor to the highest office. Yet, people are saying that it is because of the 18,000 minimum wage that they could not be able to pay salaries. That is not correct. That is a misinformation. The statistics are there, and we must defend that. And therefore, let me say, for the last time, all of us could recall and remember, at the level of the National Executive Council of NLC, we have taken a decision. Wherever a state is not able to pay its pensioners and workers, no worker or his family or his associate should give them any vote. That must be respected. That we must enforce. We can't continue to lament issues of good governance. Lamentation cannot change our situation. It can only compound the issue. We must demand that the right thing must be done. And if we demand for such, it will happen. It has happened in Rikiti. 8 months salary not paid. At the eve of election, they transfer 3,000 into their account to go and vote. And they are not fools. They decided what is right. And I must restate also that if you don't have by now a worker in your family, you don't have your voting card, it means you have mortgaged your rights. We can't continue to lament. That is the reality. We have taken that decision at the highest level of Congress. We will support those that have done well. And let me make some of this analysis. There are states that have not assessed the bailouts. There are states that have not actually assessed any budget support. Yet, they have continued to pay salary as and when due. We have such states. We must encourage them. If you want an example, I can give you an example of Jigawa. If you retire today, you get your pension and gratuity. Salary is paid as and when due. It's a fact. Jigawa State, if you look at the list of allocation, because people have become so lazy that we are no longer productive in governance, that we cannot be creative to create internally generated revenue. Everybody comes to the center and come and collect what we call handpack every month. Even the internal generated revenue have become now pocket money. It's no longer accounted for. And the issue of saying that about the finality of the minimum wage, that they wanted to give us the audited account of states for the past 14 years, Peter Obi have told us, there is difference between estimate and actual. What you budgeted is not the actual that you spend. And therefore, we can no longer be deceived. We must stand by the truth, and we must insist that the right thing must be done. Workers are creators of wealth. And if we create the wealth, we must also partake of the wealth. No country in the world where development occurs, where people will be productive, where you are not able to meet up the primary needs. What drives progress is education. Can a teacher go and teach in an empty classroom or in a classroom that has been built if he has his main issue has not been taken care of? The answer is no. And therefore, quality of education cannot be improved only by building classrooms. It has to be side by side. As you are building the infrastructure, you must also take care of the person that is responsible to provide this quality education. As you are building hospitals, you must equip them, but you must also have workers that are in a good state of mind that can be able to provide quality health services. That is the issue. It's side by side. You can't say no, that payment of salary is a waste because you need money to create infrastructure. You need money to build roads. You build roads for people that are alive to fly those roads. If the people are dead because of insecurity, can they fly the roads? No! The two goes by side. And that's why we are behind in terms of development. Because the thinking of our political elites is how can they get big money to award elephant, big elephant, white elephant project and take kickback. That is not the issue. And that is why you have seen, if you look at the statistic, in states where there is very low pay and there is serious insecurity and conflict, look at what is happening. It's also related to the issue of the fact that there is very low wage, and therefore at the end of the day, because most of those states are civil servant states, when you don't pay salary, the economy is at standstill. I remember in one state we were protesting to support the worker and pensioners. Market women closed their shop and said they have not made sale also because salary have not been paid. This is the reality. And therefore, comrades, I want to thank all of us. I want to thank RATTAWU. Let me therefore use this opportunity because documentation is very, very important. In fact, the sharpest memory, they say the faintest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. We need to document where we are coming from. We need to document the challenges we have passed through for this generation and generation also coming behind. And therefore, let me commend RATTAWU for documenting the progress that RATTAWU have been able to make over the years. It is something that the incoming generation will build on. And therefore, on behalf of the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress, it is really my honor and privilege to present these books to the honor of all the members of RATTAWU, to the honor of the working class in Nigeria, and to the honor of God Almighty. I therefore launched the book titled The History of RATTAWU and Critical Briefs on Current Labor Issues in Nigeria, edited by Benjamin Gudaku. I so present this book on behalf of NLC with the sum of 1.5 million naira.
Forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Victory, victory for us. Victory, there is victory for us. In the struggle, Aluta asserted.
Thank you very much, Comrade President of the Nigerian Labour Congress.
The President of Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba, kickstarting the book launch here at the 40th anniversary celebration of RATTAWU. And of course, he did say that the sharpest pencil is not better, or rather better than the sharpest memory. And so members of RATTAWU must do the needful in uniting the nation by communication.
As we invite the representative of the Minister of Information and Culture, the Minister has been represented here today by Mrs. Stella Onobolu. Let's put our hands together as we invite her to make her remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. I apologize for the inability of the Honorable Minister to be present here today. And so, permit me to present his remark. Mr. Chairman, all protocol duly observed. I wish to start by congratulating members of the Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union, RATTAWU, on this special occasion of the 40th anniversary celebration of the Union. I also bring to you felicitations from the Ministry of Information and Culture and its agencies, which constitute a large membership of the Union. RATTAWU, as you all know, are not only key in the broadcast industry, but also in the cultural sector. I find the union as one of the strategic unions we have in the country, a critical bridge between the government and the governed. My dear comrades, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 40 years in the life of a union or organization is a landmark worth celebrating. I therefore find your celebration justifiable and commend you for putting this event together to celebrate this milestone. Indeed, I am pleased with the choice of the theme, RATTAWU at 40, Media and Cultural Sectors as Tools for National Transformation, Cohesion, and Good Governance. It could not have been more apt, given the increasing glamour for across the country for the national unity as well as good governance. RATTAWU roles in fostering peaceful coexistence, national growth, and development of the country cannot be overemphasized. As you all know, the union has the mandate to ensure that its members are engaged in the promotion of integrated cultural diversity, peaceful coexistence, especially before, during, and after the forthcoming elections, through their reportage. I'm also pleased that you deemed it fit to invite for recognition your veterans who have served the union at different times and in different capacities. It is good they are remembered and also celebrated for their contributions over the years to the growth and development of the union. To me, two things are fundamental at this celebration. First, the anniversary is an opportunity to appraise the past with a view to identifying areas of successes and consolidating on them. In the same vein, the failures of the past must be integrated and solutions proffered as a way of ensuring a prosperous tomorrow. The second thing this 40th anniversary offers is the opportunity to strategically think about repositioning the union, leveraging on best practices globally to contribute to effective service delivery for national development. Comrades, in our history, unions and indeed trade unionism have contributed positively to nation building. The unions in different times have fought against bad governance and maladministration, whether under the military or civilian dispensation. As a government that is people-oriented, we shall continue to support unions, especially RATTAWU, that have demonstrated that it's a worthy partner in progress. Such unions are not only to be commended, but also to be recognized, and their strategic roles appreciated. RATTAWU, as a partner in progress, should, as a matter of necessity, support this administration in its Herculean task of instilling discipline, transparency, accountability, and patriotism amongst Nigerians. As I said earlier, RATTAWU is a key stakeholder in the broadcast industry, and its members constitute an important demographic groups in the beneficiaries of the switchover to digital broadcasting, which the present administration has started implementing. I would also like to use this opportunity to urge the union to use its strategic position in the media and broadcast industry to join hands with the government to curb the menace of fake news and hate speeches. It is in line with our resolve to curb this menace that the ministry recently launched the national campaign against fake news and hate speeches. It is important that the union in particular is particularly concerned about the notorious prominence of fake news in the public space. This is not good for anyone. The reason is that fake news destroys and deforms the norms and values that our society has upheld over the years. I am aware that the greatest provider of fake news remains the social media, where there are no gatekeepers, as we have in the traditional media. However, responsible citizenship should guide our use of social media in a manner that our institutions will rather be strengthened than compromised. This is a way to go, especially now that we are at the threshold of yet another general election. RATTAWU should be at the vanguard against fake news and hate speeches that could destroy our hard-earned democracy. My sincere charge to the union is to use this 40th anniversary celebration to showcase its achievements and patriotic cooperation with the federal government in building positive change in the conduct of government businesses, ensuring industrial harmony, promoting accelerated economic growth, as well as transparency, accountability in the public domain, with a view to building a better Nigeria. Once again, congratulations to you all on this anniversary, and I wish you all a fruitful and rewarding celebration. Thank you all.
And that was the remark of the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, being presented here by Mrs. Stella Onabolu, Director, National Press Center.
Comrades, great RATTAWU. There is also a message from the Minister of Labor and Employment. Let me now call on Mr. Godson Ubuji to deliver that message. Let's welcome him to the microphone. Thank you.
Great comrades, great RATTAWU. Let me first send the Honorable Minister's apology for not being here in person due to urgent national assignment. And also let me stand on the already established protocol to read his address. The Chairman on Education and our ebullient NLC President, and also a friend of the ministry. Here is the Honorable Minister's address. It gives me great pleasure to be identified with your union on this very auspicious occasion, marking the 40th anniversary of the existence of your great union. The number 40 is significant in both the life of mortal beings and institutions alike. For the radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria, RATTAWU, the 40th anniversary is indeed a milestone and one that is worth celebrating, given the great strides your union had made in these years towards our national growth and democratic consolidation. The twin event of the anniversary and Rita Fest could not have come at a better time than now that the present administration, under the quintessential leadership of our President, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, is trying to diversify our economy away from overdependence on oil. In this regard, therefore, the Rita Fest shall provide a veritable platform for the cultural exhibition of all the 36 states, including Federal Capital Territory, and in a way, showcasing them as our potential export commodities to other countries of the world.
Our country is rich in cultural heritage, and we must therefore use this opportunity to harness them as a major source of our foreign exchange earner. In fact, your theme for this celebration, RATTAWU at 40, media and culture sectors as tools for national transformation, cohesion, and good governance, captures this essence, as well as your determination to partner with this administration in ensuring national development and good governance. Fellow comrades, let me state unequivocally that RATTAWU has played a significant role in consolidating our diversities through the instrumentality of the radio, television, theater, and arts respectively. I have no doubt the Union will continue to play this role in the years ahead. As we enter our election year, I call on RATTAWU to intensify on its role in enlightening Nigerians on the need for national unity and cohesion through tolerance and eschewing of ethnocentrifugal tendencies capable of precipitating into anarchy and chaos. We must all join hands to uphold our common destiny and shared values as a people. Let us realize that unity and peaceful coexistence are central to any meaningful national development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me commend RATTAWU for being resilient, pragmatic, understanding, and patriotic in the last 40 years in pursuance of its quest to secure better working conditions and increased wages for its members. RATTAWU has not been known for frequent strikes, actions, nor unnecessarily holding the government to rise some on issues bordering on better working conditions and remunerations. Indeed, RATTAWU is a best practice when it comes to social dialogue. My ministry, and indeed the federal government, is proud of your union. I'm sure this would not have been possible without an understanding leadership that puts national interest first. If other unions had demonstrated this matured understanding displayed by RATTAWU's brand of unionism, this country would have been spared of the agony of prolonged strikes and the attendant consequences on national productivity and growth. I salute your entire leadership for this exemplary conduct in the last 40 years of your fruitful existence. Fellow comrades, while commending you for all the efforts put in preparation for this historic occasion, let me also counsel that your union should think along the lines of social investment, like other unions are doing currently, in order to secure an internal financial base that is not necessarily dependent on check of dues. In this way, the union can continue to provide support for its members by way of employment of those who have exited from service. Finally, while felicitating with you on this memorable occasion, let me once again solicit for your continued cooperation with my ministry in ensuring industrial peace and harmony in the country, as I wish you all happy 40th anniversary celebration. Long live Radio, Television, Theatre and Workers Union of Nigeria, RATTAWU. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together once more.
Mr. Godson Obuji, representing the Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment, Senator Dr. Chris Ngige, here at the 40th anniversary ceremony taking place in Abuja.
The last few minutes. Now let's take another breather, let our hair down as we listen to some other group of professionals who will entertain us and make us happy. You recall? Right. So I hand you over right away to the band for a short musical interlude.
All right. Are you feeling raise the house? Yeah, man. Ah. Everyone is crying out for peace. No one is crying out for justice. Every Nigerian is crying out for peace. I know. No one is crying out for justice.
And that's the most we can take from here at Supreme Equancy Cultural Center in Abuja as RATTAWU continues with the celebration of their 40th anniversary. Thank you indeed for watching it live on the NTA. My name is Kenan Ima Abodike. Bye-bye.
Everybody want to go on to heaven. I say nobody want.
Imagine a station where you access information. Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages. Documentaries, classroom and television, events coverage, children's programs and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the StarTimes platform, channel 359. For partnership, sponsorship and advert placements, contact us on NTA Knowledge. NTA Knowledge, learning to broaden horizon.
Technology, the mother of all inventions, has influenced various aspects of human existence that numerous difficulties has been brought to the barest level. Travel as a form of communication has been made simple through the invention of the motor car, which can travel several miles in a very short time. Due to various irregularities on the roads like potholes, careless driving, overspeeding, and a host of others, the chances of motor cars getting involved in accidents cannot be overlooked. As such, devices like the seatbelts and airbags have been made.
Basically, airbags are meant to serve as security for lives and property in our vehicles.
The motor car airbags are safety devices or features designed to protect passengers and drivers in a head-on collision. The question begging for an answer, therefore, is how many car buyers take time to check the cars for airbags when they are purchasing one?
Like we car dealers now, if you are going to buy a car, we're buying the one that has a airbag because people are going through what is raining.
About an airbag in a car, it's supposed to be a supplementary restraint system. It's supposed to be something that helps to assist during the time of an accident, but it only works well once you have a seatbelt across your chest, or else otherwise it can be a dangerous thing in a car.
Airbags act as a cushion for passengers, thus preventing them from hitting the steering column and dashboard, which may lead to head, shoulder, or even chest injuries. The importance of safety devices in a motor car cannot be overemphasized when purchasing a car. Therefore, it is advised to thoroughly check for those devices before purchasing a car.
Yes, it be like say they want to tell us another story again, yo. Now so, you know, say people they say I be superstar. But for me, the real superstars are those people where they go vote for the candidate of their choice without violence. So for this upcoming elections, be my superstar. Vote, no fights, no violence, because the election will be won.
We work together so the future will be brighter.
Dab, 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 dab. Yes. Oh. Now my dirty they smell like this. Now to throw away I'm quick. This kind of smell fit make man sick. That woman throw away dirty for ground. Me self go do the same this time around.
Hold up. See, to do this kind badness by the book, you make sure say person or they look. And then you drop them nicely. Bros, nothing will happen. Trust me.
See, if you throw away dirty for ground, another person self throw away dirty. Everybody can begin to throw away dirty for ground. Everywhere go call the smell. Gutter go block. Road go block. And you will like to the dab. I say no more dabbing for you, be that too. Dab, 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 dab. Yes.
My name is Natu Baba, and some people they say I be superstar. But to me, the real superstars are the people where they go vote for the candidate of their choice without violence. You understand? So for this upcoming election, be my superstar. Go out, go vote. No fighting. No violence, because election will be won.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Yes, it be like say they want to tell us another story again, yo. Now so, you know, say people they say I be superstar. But for me, the real superstars are those people where they go vote for the candidate of their choice without violence. So for this upcoming elections, be my superstar. Vote, no fights, no violence. Because the election will be won.
We work together so the future will be brighter.
The date palm resembles the coconut and oil palm trees that grow in the forest regions of Nigeria in their structure and leaves. The date palm only grows in arid and semi-arid regions and produces a different kind of fruit. The date palm tree does very well in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, and its environs. It is an observed fact that traditional varieties of the date palm take years to mature from infancy when they begin to bear fruits. Popularly known as dabino in Hausa land, fruits of the date palm come in various colors and sizes. The flesh of the fruit is usually eaten raw when ripe or left to dry out in the sun as a form of preservation. This fruit, when dissected, has a long, hard, oily seed that runs through its length. Date palm fruits are very sweet and are eaten as snacks in the arid and semi-arid parts of Nigeria. Dates have a religious function among Muslims, particularly during the fasting month of Ramadan. This fruit is preferred over any other thing while breaking the fast and is usually eaten in odd numbers in compliance with the tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. These days, The date palm fruit is assuming a social function among the houses during wedding fatihas and naming ceremonies, where it is supplanting the kola nut. Perhaps that may explain why you see heaps of the fruit on sale on the streets and in marketplaces in major towns and villages in the northern part of this.
You know, when it comes to fashion and style, men are no longer behind in making the right statement. And designers who understand this fashion game will do everything possible to ensure that you make the right statement as a man and catch all the necessary attention, of course, with a refined taste and style. And talking about style, welcome to the place where we proudly showcase creative minds and personalities who are proudly promoting the Made in Nigerian brand. Today's style. My name is Ruth Aguele. Now, why don't we start by exploring the world of one of Abuja's finest designers who has carved a remarkable niche for himself. Come with me.